going to be looking at another deck today. We're going to go through all my decks. Obviously, with the release of Oldham, some of these decks are a little bit are like they're really optimized for the last expansion. But I just played this deck at rank 10 and won. So, like I also said before, if you play a deck with, that worked last time, doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to work now. There will be a shift, but like I say, often what finally happens is only a few new cards come into it. So this is my deck. This is a deck which, to be honest, a lot of the decks you see that I'll show, they're variants of various things I've seen, and they sort of are just the things that I play with. You may not find this exact deck anywhere else. I don't know. Maybe someone else has thought of it. What's unique about this deck that I like to play is probably this, though, the Potion Vendor. I've been a big fan of this card, and it works really well in a heal druid. Obviously, with the new druid, there are some more heal cards, but they're more expensive cards, and they're more based on draw. And there are ways, this is obviously not that strong on draw. Do have Harrison for draw. Also got Wrath, which we can combo with Steladris to get a little bit more draw. And we also have Life Weaver as well, which can also get some draw, as well as Predatory Instincts as well. So there are draw options, but they're not as obvious as, as the more expensive new Druid cards, which are basically restore a huge amount of health, get loads of cards. So I like this deck a lot, and I feel it's pretty strong. Part of it is that, there's different ways you're going to play. I've got Acolyte of Pain as well for draw. So yeah, there's actually more draw than you might think in there, as well as Thalnos as well. Okay, lots of draw then. But it doesn't necessarily look like a draw deck, right? But it is, in a way. You have to do that with Druid. That's the thing. It's not just like have a card that gets you loads of cards. It's a more subtle approach, I guess. But anyway, so in your opening hand, there's certain things which are quite nice. With the coin, right, you can do blade. If you're taking a lot of damage, right, if this was 3, it would be amazing, put it this way. But you can, for instance, you can do a 3 coin into Potion Vendor. You automatically get 4 health back. Sometimes if you can somehow build a board and you feel your opponent's going really aggro, sometimes you can get a Potion Vendor to do, because remember this heals face as well. So if you can heal 2 minions and face, then you'll be all right. It just depends, right? Oftentimes you'll want to just rely on Healing Touch. So for instance, what you might want to do is just take damage to the face, put out your Drake, right? And then what they'll do is they'll have to deal with the Drake, and that way you can get a Healing Touch away. And then, for instance, you can get Crystal Stag out. So Crystal Stag is super useful here because essentially, like, you can go Crystal Power into Crystal Stag, right? Which is really, really powerful. So for instance, you could turn 4 do Twilight Drake. You've already taken damage to the face. Heal the face for 5, and then next turn, so you've already got that Twilight Drake out. You've probably not done much, right? So you've got a decent amount of cards. So you'll have like a 4/7 or a 4/8 Twilight Drake. They'll have to deal with it, and they'll probably, because the thing is, because they'll be in the ascendancy in a sense, they'll overcommit often, and then you'll be able to get your Crystal Stag out and probably trade favourably for that. And then if you it depends how it's going, but sometimes if you do that, you trade favourably. They just need to rebuild their board. They haven't got any way to clear your board. You can get some amazing Life Weaver play. The thing about Potion Vendor with Life Weaver is super amazing, right? If you've just got a board with damaged minions, it's just you can get like 4. I've sometimes I've literally, I think I've got like 6 cards from this. Remember also, it's whenever you restore health. So if you haven't taken damage and it's a different scenario, you could Crystal Power the enemy hero, for instance. It depends like what you want to do. It depends how much you like, how many cards you need. Now, obviously, the point of this deck is it is Lucent Bark. So you want to get Lucent Bark out. Ideally, you're going to have Libidinous Floop in your hand, so you can get another. Because the thing is, right, this is really, there's not much silence around. But if it happens to be silence, right, what you can do is you do loosen bark. If they silence it and and they just completely take it out, then you basically have to have Forbidden Flute, because then you can then what you'd have to do is if they did that, that'd be like a strong play. So you'd have to, well, hopefully you'd be able to do Forbidden Flute with your Faceless, and then if you've got some backup healing as well. Steladris obviously very important to the deck. It combos with Crystal Power, with Wrath. And I think that is, that's the only things it does combo with. Gloop Stride is it's only one of those. Obviously you're going to try and want to get that on your Lucent Barks. Predatory Instincts. The good thing about Predatory Instincts in this deck is, I've got this guy. This is just can be a difficult thing. That can be. I mean, that would be a 7/14, which is not too. Obviously it's a single target. Ideally, though, you're going to want to get a nice 3/24 here, or this, which is if this is a 4/8, and you're getting 2 4/8s out for a 5 mana, you can automatically see that the swings that may yield. And the Blade Master is, it's just something like, like if you think about like what a vanilla Yeti, the very basic vanilla Yeti is a 4/5 for 4, right? So essentially, if you played this with a vendor, that's 4 mana, and you've got a 4/5 and a 1/1. So it's it's just slightly above what you might want, right? And yeah, Acolyte, obviously, if you're struggling for draw, you're going to want to do Thalnos. Thalnos, if you happen to, I found recently, like, the thing is, I'm going to change this deck, like, over the course of, obviously the new expansions come out. I'm going to have to think about, how it's going to look. But you can get decent damage if you've got your removal cards in there. I do have one swipe, but like, if you think you're going to need that removal, I would say hang on to Steladris. Thalnos obviously can do 4, and we've got 3 damage with the Crystal Power. So it's like, Thalnos, Crystal Power, Wrath. That's 7 damage, right? So that should be able to take care of stuff within the first 5 turns, right? So there's lots of different ways to look at it. Either want to do that removal, or you want to get the Drake out, get some healing on face, and then maybe get out a Crystal Stag. And if you do get like a free turn, it's important to do either healing or Predatory Instincts. Also can be very useful. Not so useful if you get the Ironhide. But again, this is a good way to soak up damage, so that's why it's in there. And ideally you want to do the Gloop on the Lucent Bark. If you've got loads of Lucent Barks, there's enough healing that you're not going to need to worry about too much, especially if you get more healing cards from Lifeweaver. I mean, if you look at the amount of healing cards, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and that is about it, isn't it? Yeah, there's 6 healing cards. So, not bad. Steladris can get you, maybe 7 or 8. Lifeweaver may get you another one. So you're looking sort of about the right number, I would say. And, Faceless, another important thing to mention is that Faceless, if they do have a very big minion, especially if it's got charge, if they say they've Ziliaxed some mech and they've got, like a really big charge minion, that can also be useful for healing. You can even combo that with Lifeweaver. So yeah, that's all I can say about this. So goodbye.